everybody. Welcome. Welcome to Let's Chat on Sunday. Happy holidays. Glad to see all of you here. Hoping you're having a good weekend. Almost to the end of the weekend, but hopefully many of you are off and on your holiday break, or at least enjoying your family and that kind of thing, or enjoying peace and quiet. Yeah, so hopefully everyone's doing well. Great. So today I'm just on my own with my guides are here, and I wonder if you have any spiritual questions you'd like me to answer. And for those of you who are new, please subscribe, please share, like the video if you like it. And when I'm here on my own, when I don't have a guest, I answer people's spiritual questions or things they're wondering about the world, the way things work, what's going on. And if I don't have the answer from other readings I've done, or maybe it's been asked before and I remember the answer, then I hand it over to my guides. So my guides come through and give us the answers. It's just kind of a conversation we have and talk about things. And the beginning of this, usually the beginning, I'll have like a little message. Sometimes I do, sometimes I don't. But today I just wanted to talk for just a minute about the safety in the present moment. And on this channel, we talk a lot about presence and the present moment. And so often it is it comes up in personal readings. It comes up all the time because it's basically it's how we can align with our higher self. And the reason I want to talk about safety in that is because, first of all, I get a lot of people that are feeling unsafe for one reason or another. And usually just, the 3D is it feels unsafe. Everything is, things don't last. People come and go. It's, relationships come and go, jobs come and go. Everything's passing by. Everything seems very unstable and just ready for upheaval and what's going to happen next. And that's the atmosphere. And when you're kind of in that consciousness, which some of us are more than others, it can be very scary. It can be very unsettling. It can feel very unsafe. And one of the really, really nice side effects of connecting into the present moment is that as soon as you get aligned with your higher self, well, what I should say is as soon as you feel a feeling of calm, a feeling of peace come over you, a feeling of everything's okay, as soon as you start to feel that come in, you've aligned with your higher self. You're connected in, because that is the state that your higher self is always in. Not only that, it is a higher wisdom that your higher self has, meaning it understands exactly what this is. It understands this is an experience. Everything's okay. It seems all very real while we're here. Everything seems real. And it is. I mean, it's our reality, right? But it's an experience for us to learn. And it's a very intense experience for us to learn. And we signed up for it. We just signed up for it. It doesn't mean you need to walk around feeling like, I did this to myself. You don't, with everything that happens in your life, it's not that. But we had very good reasons for coming in, and your higher self knows all the reasons. knows all of your past lives, knows everything that's going on, has complete understanding that you're an eternal being. You're not a temporary being on this planet. With, you know, they understand that to come here and have this experience, you have to be born into a body and you have to die to get out. We've talked about that. So all of that is there. And so there is a peace and a calm and an everything is okay feeling that comes along with that. And along with that feeling comes, I am safe. Because once you've plugged in, you're into the eternal. Eckhart Tolle, and you can drink if you're lucky enough to have a mimosa today. Good for you. But Eckhart Tolle always says the eternal now. He calls it the eternal now, and that's why. Is because when you're in the now, you're tapping into the eternal. You're tapping into the divine. And it's where we need to be to read. You know, that's the place you have to be to read. Now, it's interesting because when you read, I was just talking to Jill about this on her channel. When you read, the reason I believe that time is so weird and confusing and odd is because you're having to be in the now, in the dimension you're in, the body you're in, and the form you're in, the way you're plugging in is being in the now and connecting with that higher self and connecting with your guides. But you have to be present. And so you're grabbing, so past, present, and future all becomes here and now because that's where you are. So it's all kind of accessible from that point of where you are, that point of power that you're in, the power of the now that you're in. And so many times when, especially at the beginning of a reading, when I would do them live, at the beginning of a reading, I would start to say things like, I'm seeing you buying a new car, and I'm seeing you starting a job, and or whatever. And they would say, oh, that just happened. I just last week I bought a car and I just started my new job, right? So it's like I'm starting to grab, but the past seems like now, and it could just as well be the future. It's very tricky. Not only that, especially when you're doing things like the year-long predictions that I did, that's very tricky because everything feels like it's now. Everything feels like it's imminent, like it's happening tomorrow, because you're in the present. And it's not that you're going to the future. You're pulling the future into where you are so you can read it. And so everything feels like it's about to happen. But then, of course, it's like 2 years away or something, or a year away or whatever. But that's why it can be so, that's why it feels like that as a reader. But you have to be in the present. And I asked my guides many times, should I meditate more to get an accurate reading, or should I just be present? And every single time I got just be present in the moment. That is the most important thing. Because you can meditate all day long, and if you're not present when you read, you're going to be all over the place. You're going to be in your ego. And so you don't want to do that, right? Not when you're reading. Not when you're reading. We have to use the ego and have the ego otherwise, but and deal with it otherwise. But hopefully not in a reading. You're not dealing with or battling with it. Okay, so I hope that helps. And it's very, very simple to get to the present. Do not overthink it. 3 deep breaths. Find a few objects in your room to look at this object. I'm seeing the lamp. I'm seeing my tree. I'm seeing my plant. Take deep breaths. And as soon as you feel that calm come in, no matter what's going on in your life, as soon as you feel that calm come in, or that ease, or that, usually it comes in with not only the physical feeling, but there's a mental, emotional sort of, oh, everything's okay feeling come in. You've made contact. You are in the present and you have made contact with your higher self. Okay. It's that easy. It really is not difficult. We overthink and overdo everything. It's just the what we do. Especially when we get our logical mind involved, we really overthink and over assess and everything else. Okay. So hi Kelly and Gina and Craig and oh Craig, I got your cup. Thank you so much. I couldn't figure, I finally opened it because I didn't know if it was something I had ordered like a long time ago, or, you know, Christmas is always weird and Cassie's sending stuff and my sister sent something. So, but thank you so much. That's so kind of you. So sweet and completely unexpected. And so thank you so much. I really thank you guys so much. And you guys are all so great, but thank you, Craig. I really appreciate that. And hi, Annie Bear and everybody. Okay, so Barbara, D222. I'm gonna need my glasses. I've got my Charles Tilton Raleigh glasses up here. I've got my new glasses downstairs because I'm down there most of the time. But I got these ones up here. Okay. So I've had to do a lot of stuff downstairs because it's been freezing cold here. Not today so much, not too bad today, but it's been like down in the 40s. For California, that is cold. That is some cold stuff. Okay. So Barbara asks, are all romantic partners written into our soul agreements prior to incarnation? Are we able to add anyone after we incarnate? So Barbara, I'm going to answer this, but I'm going to also allow my guides to come in and you know, share any information as well, obviously. They're not going to let me say something that is completely off, but and it kind of depends on, you know, different readers have different ideas about soul contracts. At least this is what I have figured out, because I thought we're all on the same page, and we're not. There are some readers and some people that, you know, do this stuff that don't believe we have any kind of contract, that we just come in and we maybe have some goals, but we don't have any contracts. That they don't believe that. Some people believe that everything, every single thing, there's not any coincidences. Everything is written in stone and everything's a contract, right? And then there's people like me who are a little bit in the middle. And so I'm going to give you my take on it, okay? And this is just from all of the readings that I've done and all the things that I've read and all the things that I picked up for myself. And what I believe is, I kind of believe the Brian Weiss way that he looks at it. He wrote Many Lives, Many Masters, and he's a past life regressionist. And he says that the thing, you know, the thing that happens, the event or the person, so in this case, a romantic partner coming in, the thing happening or the meeting is written into your contract. Your response to it is free will. So in that case, romantic partners, or I should say, pivotal, you know, people that come into our life, and I would put romantic partners in that category. Meeting them, the meeting is the destiny part. It's the and even then, I feel like, and maybe my guides are coming in and saying, like, with it can be sometimes tricky with time, because maybe you're wanting to meet up when you're 50 years old, but one of them is still in some kind of entanglement with a divorce or something like that, and so it takes another year. So even then, I feel like time-wise, it can be kind of shifty. But the meeting or the event is the contract. And so, of course, you can have friendships and relationships and with people that aren't in your contract. It's the point of being here. Really, the free will aspect, along with the rules of the road, right? The rules of cause and effect, right? The rules of their karmic rules. There are certain things that are in place here. But our free will is also part of the process, part of the learning process, part of our experience, right? And so, of course, you could meet someone and have a friendship or a relationship with somebody. It may not be as impactful, or it may not be really long, or whatever. But it doesn't mean it can't. If you both have free will and you both decide you want to stay together, yeah, you may still meet the person you're supposed to meet, but maybe you're married at the time. And so it makes it a little more complicated, right? And again, then your free will is at play, and you can decide, I feel more connected to this person, so I'm going to, leave my partner and try to work things out with this part, or whatever. It's your free will. And so I hope that I answered that. And I feel like what they wanted to come in with was just the time thing, that the time can be tricky, and they're kind of like, it can be, it's a feat. Like, it really is sometimes getting people to the right place. I mean, I'll use my own experience as an example. I had kind of a spirit intervention because I almost passed. I hit an exit point and I almost died, basically. But frankly, I almost died. And I had there was a time frame that Adam was going to be in California because he was a foreign exchange student. So he was going to be there for a year. And luckily, but I was living in another state at the time. So, and I could feel the change and the pressure to move back to California. I could feel that as I had I had to have a surgery and emergency surgery and stuff. I tried to go back to my life after that, and it was just, I couldn't. I could not do it. And I left, and my whole life completely changed after that. And I always say that, because I don't remember, I didn't have an NDE, I don't have any memory, but I have a feeling that I've always felt that I left my form and talked to my guides, and they said, you're doing it wrong and you need to get your act together and stop messing things up and do things better. Now get down there and make us proud, So that's kind of the scenario I have in my head. So some kind of conversation took place. I just don't have a conscious memory of it. Maybe one day I will. So I hope that explains that. I hope that helps with that, at least from where I see it. And also my guys kind of chipping in and explaining things about time and space and how that kind of works. Which guest on Spirit Speaks did you feel most spiritually connected to? I have a guess. Okay. Well, I mean, for sure, I would say Marilyn Monroe, because I've talked to her before, and it's not like, Marilyn and I are besties, we're so much alike. It's not like that. It's a frequency. It's a frequency match. And I have that sometimes with people, like people's relatives and things like that, where I can just hear them really well. There's some kind of match there that is, now you have to have some sort of a match, but I kind of think of it as sort of like this, like you're constantly like that. And as you pass, you're kind of like, you hear a word, or maybe you get a song, or maybe you get, and so but she felt like it was like this almost the entire time. Like it was just like she was standing next to me. just talking about this with my sister. I loved talking to Mr. Rogers just because his spirit was so lovely, just really stayed with me. Just so loving and kind and just a beautiful spirit. I loved talking to Freddie Mercury because I thought he was hilarious. I love talking to, obviously, Robin Williams. He started the series, so I love talking to him. I mean, everybody really for different reasons. But as far as like a frequency, like that kind of match, probably her. Yeah, and maybe Princess Diana too. I could hear her pretty well. I felt that way with her too. And usually when we say like, I could hear her, it means you're picking up visuals, you're feeling it, you're hearing it. It's a combination of everything. But when you have that connection, it's like you're kind of you're picking up lots of things. But I hope that explains that. But what a good question, Gina, because I haven't thought about but that I would say that. So I don't know if that was your guess or that's who you thought, but that's what I would say. Okay, Annie Bear, do our clears connect us with our larger spiritual body, who we are when we're at home, so to speak? So yes, so as we talked about, now connecting with what we talk about is the oversoul, and I don't think I even fully grasp kind of the idea of parallel lives and parallel, that kind of stuff. I try to understand it, and but I also think that it isn't. It's okay if I don't understand it. I don't force things. I don't just make up a theory because I need something to. I just sort of leave it open, kind of like I'm open to this, but I don't fully understand it. So let me ask the guides about that, because it's a really good question, and I would like to understand it better. I also feel like sometimes these concepts, we only know what we know, especially me. It's like there's only so many things that I know and understand in this world, and sometimes what we are aware of here in a 3D world, right? In the third dimension, or even in a fourth dimension, that our understanding of concepts can only go so far when there's really no reference here for exactly what is going on. So when I don't fully feel like I'm fully getting something, I just kind of stay open, and I think at some point I'll get it, or something will make sense, or I'll get it in some reading or something. So I just kind of have patience with that. Let's ask about connecting in, because I feel like that's what you're talking about, is sort of not just connecting with the aspect that is our higher self here, kind of with us, sort of animating the body, the part of us that leaves when we pass. Not just that part, but sort of that oversoul that sort of remains home, right? Okay, so what they're saying is that it is accessible, but the information it carries isn't relevant or necessary to our experience here. So you might want to out of curiosity, but it wouldn't necessarily help or anything with this life at this time. That's what your higher self is for. That's what that is for. It's to help you right here, right now. And it holds all of the information that's relevant to this experience. So past lives that are relevant, and probably even ones that aren't. I would imagine like all your past lives why you're here, what the plan is, what you came here for. And I feel like the information that your sort of fuller aspect of yourself, I'm asking if there's a way they can explain this in like earthly terms that I can understand it better. Okay. So they're using like fast food as an example of this. Oh, that's interesting. Okay, I get it. I get it now. So they're using fast food. I never would have thought of it. So they're using fast food like McDonald's. Okay, so let's just say McDonald's. They so say they just do burgers and fries, or say they do burgers, fries, and shakes. And then there's all of these patrons, right, coming in and taking the fries and taking the. So basically, the oversoul is McDonald's. It's the establishment, right? The fries, the Coke, the stuff is the aspects of soul. And then the consumer is that lifetime. So it's like they're taking the fries and they're going on their way and having their experience. They're taking the hamburger, going on their experience. And so that's interesting because in that scenario, and they're saying it's not perfect, but that's kind of a way to think of it. But they're also showing like a ship and little ships going out and then the little ships coming back home. So because in that scenario, they would just leave and they don't bring back the fries. But they're saying as far as how it returns, it's sort of like little ships coming back to the big ship. But they're also saying don't overthink or think that too much about that, because it really doesn't help in any way really for this. It's just more we want to know, we're interested, and I feel like that's why they're answering us, is because they respect that part of us that is curious and wants to understand and wants to know. And I think the further along we get in all of our awakenings, the more memories that will return, the more people will come in that are fully awake, so we'll have these different ways of sort of being able to understand these concepts. And I guess it isn't necessarily a hard concept to understand, but it's one I feel like they don't necessarily want us to like worry about and get hung up on. I need to go to find my oversoul, not just it's like, no, the higher self, that's what it's for. It's a representative. It's your rep for this body, for this time. And that's who you go to. And that's and it links in. Everything links into everything else, right? Everything's one thing. So don't get too hung up on that, okay? But yeah, I would agree. What a good question. Thank you, Annie Bear. And like I said, it's something I don't fully. Yes, happy holidays, happy solstice, happy Christmas, Hanukkah, all the things. New Year. Okay, so Miriam Gilbert, and so she's kind of asking a more specific question, but and that's fine. And usually what I'll do is just sort of broaden it out so that it's kind of relevant for everybody, because they do personal questions in the club, but for this, it's kind of for more of a collective thing. Question: I saw a square-shaped light on my hallway door, but no light source. When I turned, I saw a clear light. Then it went almost like hiding from me. What was this light? I thought an alien portal, but okay. So, okay. So this is interesting because I feel like what I'm feeling, Marianne, and you can disagree. You can have your, you're the last stop, right? So I always say the person having the experience that's most important. What they're saying to me is this is sort of not a test, but like a beginning, what would be the right word for it? Like a so in a way kind of a portal, because it's sort of a beginning point, an opening but I'm getting that it's an opening for more experiences. And I feel like it was almost like a testing thing to see, like, how do you respond? How would you react? Would this scare you? Would this be because our guides, and if you have a deep connection to like a star family, or you feel really connected to the idea of aliens or UFOs or and all that stuff, that's very, if you're very comfortable with that and there's something that draws you to that, there's a reason for that. And so there's a reason why that came to your mind, right? But I'm feeling like it's so in a way, I guess you could say it is a portal, because it's sort of a starting point, a beginning, a way to enter, right? A way to come in. But for me, it seems like for other experiences. So it's like, let's start small. Let's see what she does. Let's see what happens. So in a way, like a test, but not really, more like an experiment. What's going to happen if this happens? And if you freaked out and you're like, oh, I don't like it or whatever, it would probably just go away and never happen again. Because there are our guides, whether they come from it's star family or our light family or whatever we want to say, they don't want to scare us. That isn't the point of connecting. That isn't the reason that to scare us. Because that, when we get scared, we're in a really low frequency, and they need us to be at a higher frequency to be able to connect, right? So they don't want to dip us down into that lower fearful frequency. But I feel like your instincts are good, because it's just a slight difference. And like I said, you can stick with how you put it. That's fine. I think they're just kind of clarifying in a different way. And so so I hope that makes sense. I hope that makes sense. And I hope that's helpful to other people as to being afraid or not afraid of things that happen. So often we'll even ask for, I want this to happen, or I want that to happen. Trust them to know that you're ready, that it's good for you, that it would be a good experience. Because like I said, I've had a couple of experiences that I thought for sure I was completely ready for, I was over ready for them. And still it took me, once they actually happened, it took me months to sort of integrate into and fully accept and fully understand and be able to completely take it on board, because it was a lot. So thank you, Gina, for reminding people to subscribe. And even if you're subscribed, make sure and ring the bell too if you want to be notified for stuff, because otherwise you won't be. And I'll be lost in the algorithm, because there's so many YouTube channels now. There's and there were a lot when I first started, but there's even many more now. So I will get lost in the shuffle if you don't ring the bell. All right. Yeah. So Deb, my guides have spoken once saying good morning. How do I continue hearing their messages? I meditate healing. Thank you. Okay. So what I'm getting, and I know this is, but I think this is really good because I think a lot of people get hooked into this, right? You'll have to stop trying to just hear them, trying to just, because that really, really boxes them in. Your guides, everybody's guides. If you say, I only want to, and a lot of people, because you say hear them, and I assume that you mean like, clairaudience, like it was like a voice that came through, or something audible that came through. A lot of people, because a lot of people think of clairvoyance as getting messages. That's just what they're familiar with from movies and things like that, as being able to see stuff. And so they're wanting to see something. And so if they don't see something, nothing's happening. But what you'll have to get used to, Deb, is, first of all, in my opinion, your guides take the longest to actually actively feel and hear and know that it's them. Why is that? Because it feels like you, and it has from the time you were a kid. Right? They've been with you your whole life and have been speaking to you your whole life as you for your whole life. So I always describe it as, when people say, how do I hear my guides, or how do I connect with my guides? It's a little bit like saying, how do I feel air, right? It's here, it's already here, and you've been feeling it this whole time, but it's a matter of, so the meditating is wonderful. That is a great way, because that raises your vibration, but it also puts you in a state where your mind is quieting, hopefully, because that's what you learn to do, is quiet your mind. And what that does is it allows you to pay attention to the other subtleties that are happening. So it could be a feeling. It could be a picture, a quick picture. It could be a memory that pops in. It could be something physical, like chills, right? And it's up to you to just be alert, period. Open to any, and I'm getting chills right now, so I do wonder if they give you chills sometimes, Deb. You may have to pay attention to that. But it's all in my arms. It's all in my arms. So being just alert, period. Not alert to, I need to hear something, I'm listening. It's wonderful if that is your dominant ability. And I don't think that it is. I don't think that it is. I actually feel like your dominant ability is more towards like clairsentience, which is feeling energy, which is so subtle. It's so subtle. And so being awake and aware to all of it, right? I usually do the experiment of laying down on a bed or leaning back. It just seems to be better if you're sort of kind of, in a kind of a laying position. Put your hands close to your body, and then ask your guides to step away from you. Okay, so stepping away or pulling away, pulling their energy back, okay, and just lay there and just see what you feel. And then ask them to come in as close as they can to you so that you can feel them. Help me to feel you. And then have them do it again. Step back, pull away, and you can, and feel what happens. And then ask them to come in and be as close as they can, right? They may walk through you, but as close as they possibly can, and help me to feel you, right? Do it again. And pay attention every time you do it. They're not going to get tired of it. Not going to get annoyed with you. They don't care. They're not hiding from you, right? And they're excited whenever we decide to make contact. We want to make more, but But the biggest thing to connecting with guides and noticing guides is just being alert, being in the moment. Again, being alert, aware, because they'll get you to move your attention to a sign, or they'll get you to the right parking spot, and they'll get you to, but it's all them just talking to you. And because it feels like us, we just feel like, oh, I'm just looking over here. Oh, I'm just noticing that. No, they're telling us, look there. That's where you need to go. Look there. There's a dime from your dad. Look here. That right. They're constantly talking to us. But for us, it just feels like us. It just feels like us living our life, right? But to be able to notice the difference when they come in, you have to be present. You have to be awake and aware. And the more you notice, the more they'll repeat. So even if you just notice one thing, like I notice you're giving me chills on the right side of my body. I noticed that. I got that. They'll repeat it. They'll keep repeating it. And so then that will be some sort of sign for something. You build your vocabulary with your guides as you go and as you notice more. You got the good morning, right? So you can ask them to repeat that, like I got that, repeat that. But it may be that may not be your dominant ability. And it could be why it's just not as accessible as maybe other things are, right? Okay, so my crown tingles when my guides are coming in. Yeah, they'll be little, and it's so subtle. It's so subtle because it feels like us. They've been here the whole time, they've been here the whole time. And so it's, you go through that funny period of realizing, oh, that's my guides. That's so weird. I thought that, I was just deciding to go to this place, and then this person's there and we met, and that was my guides, so you'll start to notice, but it's being alert. It's being just aware of, and being in the moment. And that's when you sort of notice that, wait a minute, why did that come in? Or I wasn't thinking of that, or I just turned on the radio at the right time and there's the answer to my question, right? That was a prompt. So yeah, it's just mainly being alert and aware. Because I would even say, I think that meditation is great for raising your vibration and quieting your mind, getting you in the habit of being able to quiet your mind, knowing how to do it. So it's wonderful for that. And it's good for lots of things, blood pressure and stress and as a spiritual practice. But I would say what's just as important is being in the moment, And that is also a practice, right? It doesn't come, naturally to everybody, to be in the here and now, because we're constantly, especially this time of year, everybody's busy and thinking about stuff and when we get lost in that, our guides are incredible. They'll still find ways to get through, even if we're busy. They'll have a friend call us, or they'll have us overhear something at Starbucks, or they'll have us whatever. They're so good. They know you so well, and they're so good at getting information in. But it really helps a lot if you can hear them, and you're noticing, and what usually happens is you'll ask a question, or you'll ask for something, and then you'll forget about it. You'll just go on with your day and forget. So if you do ask them for something, or to give you a sign, or to give you, whatever, stay alert, stay awake, because they're going to answer you. It's usually us that kind of turns away and starts getting involved in whatever. So I hope that helps. Okay. Oh, Elizabeth, I'm so sad about Rob Branner too. I have been so sad about that. Just so sad. So sad. I feel like to be here. I'll put what's on here. I was talking to my sister about this yesterday, and she said, I think one of the reasons it's so sad is that we already lost the older generation of artists and filmmakers and TV people, and now we're losing this generation. And And she said, she's like, I know that there's great artists, and I know there's still going to be art and things, obviously, but these are a specific generation, and kind of the generation before all the technology, before AI, before, you know, lots of green screens, before, they were kind of a different, just a different generation of artists. And that it's so sad to lose one, and to lose them. And it was all these also are artists that were in a time that everything wasn't political, right? Very just entertainment, just entertaining us, trying to make us happy and raise our vibration, and that's what they were doing. And I, you know, 70s TV, I've shared with you guys many times, more times than 60s and 70s television is my escape. It's my happy place. And I many times will pull out a All in the Family episode. I've used All in the Family so many times for different things that have come up, the different teaching things that I've brought to the channel and stuff. And you know, I think that a few things that are going to come out of this, though, and when it first happened, I looked at a few news reports, but I haven't really delved back in, so I'm not really sure what's happening, and I don't know anything about the, I don't know, arraignment case and all that stuff. I don't know, but I feel like a few things that are going to come out of this is, one is sort of a discussion about mental illness and drug use, and also like medication, and also like diagnosis and things like that. So I feel like that's going to be something that comes out of this, and also the fact that people were so angry at Trump. People were so, it was something that kind of broke through. Even his own people were like, are you crazy? What is going on? Which is, the answer is yes, but what is going on here? Why are you doing this? So it was also something that kind of broke, another kind of chip to fall, another brick to fall, right? In that. And so so I feel like that is something else. Yeah, so those are a couple of things I feel like will come out of this, because there's always for every negative act or negative situation, there is an unintended positive consequence. And I think those are the things that are going to be coming. At least that's what I felt. So, and so many people, you know, and deal with people that family members that are, and we have a mental health crisis in our country right now that's not at all being addressed in the way that it needs to be. I also feel like, you know, this is all part of the discussion that's going to have to happen about our healthcare system needs to be overhauled. It needs to be all new. Our education system needs to be all new. Our prison system needs to be all new. Like we're going to have to be like reconfigure and build all of these things. And for us, it just feels like the walls are closing in because we're losing this healthcare, and nobody can read anymore, and we're about it. You know, it's like it's just everything's falling in, and that's why for 2026, they said a lot of it's going to be letting go. And Spirit has such a different purview, right? They have such a different view of things because Spirit always sees potential. They always see all of the potential, right? So when we ask for their help or ask them a question, they're excited over the moon because they can see all of this potential for us. What we a lot of times do is sort of put limits on it. You know, that's what our ego does. It keeps us safe by putting limits on it. Well, you know, if we say, okay, guys, I'm ready to shift careers and do something completely different. And then I go look at my resume and I'm like, well, I can only do these things. So maybe I'll get a job and maybe I'll try to get a job in this instead of this. Right. And I've just capped everything by doing that. But they, and this happens with anything like this, where we have to, or we're seeing things end, we're seeing endings, we're seeing things fall apart or come to crumble and go away. That's what we're in right now. But with that, so we're seeing all that and we're just like, oh my gosh, and this and this thing and this country and this people, but they can, in our immigration system, right? They can see all of the, not just the potential, but the highest good potential, right? So that's where they are. And so, and that's where they always are. That's where they always are. And if we can pull ourselves out and away from our ego that limits us, limit. And these controlling people, right, that have been telling us, you can't do anything about guns. No, can't do anything about guns. Can't do anything about healthcare. No, you can't. It's healthcare for everybody is stupid. You can't do anything about it. And all of that is being kind of washed away. It's all being shown to be BS, right? Maybe not all right now, but it's happening. So more and more minds are going to be open, and it's like, hey, this isn't working. Let's do something bold, right? And then we need to get the right, be brave enough to put in the right leaders, different kinds of leaders. It's a whole thing, but the point is they can see all the potential and they can see the highest potential, and we sort of don't. We see what's on the surface level right here. Now, when we go into meditation, when we connect into the present moment, it all seems like it's great. It's going to be great. Everything's okay. We're going to be fine, right? And that's what you're plugging into. You're feeling that too. I don't know how I know it's going to be okay, but I just feel like it's going to be okay. You're reaching into something higher that knows something more than you on the ground in the chaos, right? We get very lost in it. Okay. I had a dream on the 19th of December. It involved being healed in heaven at a healing center. It looked like a hospital, no machines. They knew intuitively what my condition was. Then I returned home. That's fascinating, Craig. I remember funny that you say that, because I remember an NDE of a person who they had like a spontaneous healing during their NDE. They had something, I can't remember what had happened to them, but they had something, and they were taken to a room that looked like, and they said it looked like a hospital, it looked like a medical facility, but there was nothing else in it except these kind of tables. And you would sort of, and even then it's like they were like tables of light, and that you would like lay on this table of light, and then it's like the light would, I can't remember the whole thing, but it was like that. But she said, I remember specifically, she said there was no medical equipment. There was nothing. It was just, but it looked like a hospital, like a hospital room. So that's very, very interesting. Okay, so Daniel, yeah, I'm sure Daniel asked for encouraging messages from my wife, other family members, angels, or guides. Yeah, and I think we're all, it's interesting, Daniel, because I feel like this year, more than any other year, I've heard from people, it doesn't feel like Christmas, it doesn't feel like the holidays. I miss people so much, and I've had that experience. I miss my daughter. I miss my parents. I'm just trying to get through it, and I'm trying to like enjoy it and enjoy aspects and doing the baking and doing the getting presents and stuff. But there is an aspect of me that's trying to just kind of muddle through, just kind of get through it. And so I understand that. I really do. And I even kind of feel that from that question. Let me see. Okay. So just for you, Daniel, I feel like I keep feeling like your wife is putting her arms around you and like around your neck, like that, kind of like hugging you. And I feel like, but I also feel like for more of a collective that this is, when it comes to celebrations, birthdays, weddings, anniversaries, holidays, there is an attunement with people we miss, family, loved ones, angels, guides, that it's kind of, they're tuned in more fully. And they're sort of, and they're here. They're basically there. But there's, to me, it feels like a couple of things. It's partly especially when it's a happy thing, right? A happy thing. They'll show up for sad things too, for sure, to be of service and of help heal us or whatever they're doing. But when it's a happy thing, when it's like kind of like the vibration raises a little bit, there is this sort of, even in my mind's eye, I kind of see them kind of just coming in, and it's kind of like it's matching us up in a way that it doesn't at other times. And when we're in celebration mode, even though it's fleeting, right? It's kind of more happy than joy, right? The happiness is kind of out here, joy is in here, right? It could spark that joy in here, but when we do that, they connect in. It's kind of like it's there, and it's the pleasure. Like it's so fun, and it's a way to connect, and it's a way to come in, and it's a way to have to sort of connect. And it's not the right word, to sort of blend the other side with here in a really happy, positive way, in a fun way. And they also know the importance of these things here. And so it's kind of like they're, oh, it's time for this. Oh, we better go. It really is like they want to be part of it, because they know it's important to us, right? Or it's meaningful for us, or we want it to be meaningful for us, because we remember the good Christmases when everybody was here, everybody was alive, and we want to have a night. We want to have a nice Christmas, even when we feel like we're not having a nice Christmas or whatever. They want to assist. They want to help. They want to be part of it. They want to have fun with us, or they want to help us to have fun. But the holidays is one of those times. I feel like it's almost like the gang's all here, like everybody's here. I also wanted to share too, Daniel, that I think we talked about this in the club, that so often on the other side, people will decorate and have like a tree up and have like, and I don't understand how all of this happens, right? But it's like, but they show me like they're putting lights on their house, and they're putting up trees, and they're making it look like what it looked like here for them. If they celebrated Christmas here, they're doing it there because you're doing it here. So it's a way of kind of blending the experience or connecting the experiences. And it's also, I kind of also got the feeling like we're all in the Earth Club, and remember we were there and we did Christmases. It's not in an obnoxious way, but just like in a way like we have that shared understanding of what it was like to be there, and to be there at Christmas, and how fun it was. And let's put up our lights here to sort of connect with that experience again for ourselves, just for the fun of it, but also being kind of in frequency or in line with what we're doing here. And so it's a great time to connect. It is a great time to connect, particularly with family, with people that were here at one time and now they're not here. It's a great time to connect. with those family members, and any kind of a birthday. That's why I always love when like they do a birthday or they do celebrations and they leave a chair for the person, because it's like they're sitting there. Trust me, they're sitting there. Yeah, so I hope that helps, Daniel. And I trust me when I tell you that I felt in the same boat this year. And I know an awful lot of people have felt that this year. So yeah, and yeah, people are like, yeah, people are feeling this as well. Yeah, so all right, everybody. Well, have a wonderful holiday. Have a great holiday and enjoy the little things. You know, if you're not going to spend it, we're just going to be here, just the two of us. I've got a lot, a lot of reading to do on the 26th, but it's just neither of us really like to be on the road and stuff. So we're gonna have a really quiet Christmas, and I'm just gonna lean into the little things. I like the lights. I like having my hot chocolate in the evening. I like being with my pets. I like having my electric blanket. I like watching the holiday movies. I always watch like shows too of shows, the Christmas episodes of like certain TV shows. That's always fun as well. Music, I love all of the Christmas music. I've been taking lots of walks with my Christmas music, and it's fun. So the little things, if it's this year's a bummer and it feels like a bummer for you, lean into the little tiny joys and just have a nice holiday. Pick a few things that you can do that will just bring that joy into your heart. And if you can't think of anything, just be present. Just be present. Just take some deep breaths and just be present. Okay? All right. Thank you so much, everybody. I hope you guys have a great holiday, and I will see all of you back here. Will we be here next week? Let me see. What is next week? Yeah, we'll be here next week. Okay, so I'll see you next week and we'll talk again. Have a great holiday. Bye, everyone.